Hey, I'm Handyman Dan with You Can Build This, and holy cow, how has it been another year already? Looking back on this year, we've had so much going on, and it's pretty incredible when you look back to see all that happened. Because of this, we actually decided to do a two-part series for our garden tour this year. Part one of our video is going to go over the upgrades, the new plants and techniques that we tried, and all of the successes that we had. Part two of our video is going to go over all of the challenges that we had to overcome and all of the failures that we had. Some of them are pretty crazy. So make sure to check out both videos. If your garden is pretty well established and you're looking for some ways to maybe change it up a little bit, make sure to check out our upgrade portion of our video. Now, for those of you who are more experienced in gardening, make sure to check out where we talk about new plants and new techniques that we've tried. And then if you just want to find out all of the cool successes we had in our garden, make sure and check out the successes portion. We are sure that you'll find something new that you might be able to incorporate into your garden. One thing to keep in mind is that we live in the suburbs. We have a pretty decent sized garden. Our garden's 20 feet by 50 feet, but we also implement a lot of things that help us to grow even more produce outside of our planter boxes, which you can implement into your own garden if you've got a small space. We've lived here for about 12 or 13 years. Yeah, 13 years. And by no means was this garden built in a day or even 1 year. We built it piece by piece, and it produces a ton of enjoyment for our family. And it's kind of become a little sanctuary for us. So if your first thought is, what, I couldn't be able to do a garden like this, be sure to stick around because I'm sure you'll be able to find something that you can incorporate into your property. First, let's go over the upgrades. We did 3 different upgrades this year. Upgrade number 1 is that we added our retaining wall in our back corner. We added this retaining wall to add a little bit of dimension to our garden because right now everything is the same height as our planter boxes, and all of our planter boxes are wood. So this added a little bit more texture to our garden. I wanted to see how it would perform over the winter time, and I'm so pleased to say that it survived its first winter. We had a ton of snow last year and it has held up perfectly. I still need to add a cap onto here. Right now it's just the exposed concrete blocks, so we're going to add 1.5 inch top cap to all this to help cover up some of our weed barrier. Upgrade number 2 is we drastically improved our garden pathway. It used to be full of weeds and the grout in between our rocks was peeling and weathering away. It was a disaster. But we found a product to fix the grout in between our flagstone and it has performed so well. We've had it in for a month now. It's made with sand that's coated in epoxy and then coated again in oil. And the oil helps it have a working time that's like 2 to 3 hours, which is incredible for any DIY person. It's weed resistant, frost resistant, and bug and ant resistant. And the best part is it's water permeable. So if you're looking to redo your pathway, I would highly recommend Romex Easy. And upgrade number 3 is kind of fun. We added some solar lights. It was an impulse buy from the store. I just wanted to test them out to see how they would do, but I'm actually kind of liking them. Now you're probably thinking, well, we've got our garden down to the T. I don't think we need to make any changes or improvements to it. And we thought that too, but we've tried out some new things which have actually boosted the performance of our garden this year. But before we get into everything else, make sure to check out in our description below. We've got a free download for you of 6 gardening tips that we're sure are going to help you out in the future. We made it as a resource so that you don't have to worry about trying to remember everything that we go over. This way you'll have it downloaded on your phone, tablet, or PC for future reference. Now let's get into the techniques and the new plants that we tried out. We've got 6 new things that we tried out this year. Number 1 is we added this adorable pixie peach tree into the back corner of our garden. We've wanted to do this for a long time, and it took us a while to find the type of peach tree that we thought would grow well in this back corner. It's a small area and we didn't want a tall tree that would have roots that would grow so big because we were concerned about the roots growing out and ruining our retaining wall down the road. It's a dwarf peach tree. It should only get to about 6 or 7 feet tall, which is perfect for this little corner area. We didn't want a semi-dwarf peach tree, though this was the best alternative. We planted our peach tree here in May and we already got 3 full-size peaches out of it, which we weren't planning to have any peaches in it this year because we wanted to focus its growth on the growth of the plant and not the fruit. So we were pleasantly surprised to get some peaches from it this year. Number 2 is we tried out this new watering system around our peach tree. We put a tree ring around the peach tree so that it would just water the base of the plant and not out. Also to try and help focus the growth of the roots downward. We were concerned that if we had just a normal sprinkler in here, it would encourage the growth of the roots to grow out, and then eventually it would grow and ruin our retaining wall down the road. And to dress up this area a little bit more, we added some of these salvias. And then we've also got some geraniums back in the corner. At first, we were pretty concerned they weren't going to do very well. But with the drip line that we added here, they have flourished. Number 3 is we tried out this awesome pruning technique with our blackberry cane. We have a few blackberry canes over in our side corner, and it was awesome to try this new technique where we grow them horizontally instead of vertically. We're hoping that by doing it this way, we get twice as many blackberries. Number 4, my wife tried out these new beans to us called yard-long beans. They are huge. They are seriously 3 feet long. Okay, maybe not 3 feet long. Yeah, that one's 3 feet long. Number 5, we tried out these awesome platforms for our strawberries. We found this cool new product as a reference from my mother-in-law to help keep the roly-polies off of our strawberry plants. In the other part of our garden where we've got the raspberries and blackberries, we have strawberries that kind of outline the border of that area. Those strawberries seem to get eaten quite a bit by the roly-polies. But with these green platforms that we put around our strawberries, it was able to keep the fruit off of the ground and keep the roly-polies off of them. So we enjoyed quite a few delicious strawberries this year. Number 6 is we got way better at growing our tomatoes. If you remember from last year, our tomato plants looked so sad and overgrown. It was too large for the cage. We had to trim it back and use a different method of supporting them, which we're showing here. We use these green gardening fence posts to support our tomatoes now, and we just wrap them with baling twine. We only wrap a section at a time as the tomato plant grows. We found that as we do this more often, we're able to keep up with it better. We're able to prune out all of the sucker plants that grow in. It's just a much healthier plant. The only problem is we weren't planning originally on growing 3 different types of tomatoes. We actually ran out of these posts, and we had to use some of our reserve posts, which are only like 4 feet tall, versus these ones, which are a little higher than 6 feet tall. So we had to do some finagling on how to support these, but it's worked out just fine. Now let's get into our successes. We had 9 awesome successes that we want to share with you. Number 1 is we've probably had way more flowers than we ever have in our garden before. My wife's favorite flowers are dahlias, and she planted these gorgeous dahlias. They're like a dark crimson red. Then we've got nasturtiums down here, and then we've got a lot of cucumbers back here as well. We've got 5 that I can see right, 6 that I can see right here. Look at this thing. It's like the size of my head. Another big success we've had in our garden this year are the climbing roses along our fence. They're doing exactly what I was hoping that they would do, which is this year just grow so that over the fall I can prune them and train them to grow more abundantly on the fence. And as you can see, we have got tremendous growth out of these roses this year. This one is called Arbor Rose Quicksilver, has very light pastel purple blossoms. This one has very fluorescent pink blossoms, and it's called Arbor Rose Laguna. I didn't need them to cover a ton of space, but I wanted them to grow and kind of mix in with each other and to just give a lot of color, that when you're sitting by the campfire or something, or sitting on our hammock, that you'd be able to see a lot of color right there. And also we wanted to bring in a lot of pollinators early in the season. Because of where our garden is oriented on our property and how the sun comes up, our garden has become an awesome place to eat breakfast in the mornings. So that's why we've got these chairs right here on the backside of our arbor, because as the sun rises in the morning, it kind of dissipates through the wisteria on our arbor, and it makes for a very pleasant area to have breakfast. And because we put a hummingbird feeder on both sides of our arbor, it's been so cool to sit here in the mornings and the evening times and watch all the hummingbirds come and drink while we're sitting in our chairs. Hummingbirds are probably one of my favorite animals to watch in our garden. Right behind me is probably my favorite attribute of this whole garden. Well, is it my favorite? Well, I have 2 things that are my favorite. This arbor that I built and our trellis that I built. Our wisteria has grown so much this year. In the springtime, our wisteria was magnifique. It had so many beautiful purple blossoms. What's great about it too is it provides a ton of shade in the morning time when the sun's first coming up, and it also provides a lot of shade in the middle of the day if you sit right underneath it. It's kind of the centerpiece and focal point of our garden. We've also had a ton of success with the growth of our roses on our trellis. The Awakening Rose, the Don Juan Rose, and the Eden Rose this year, they have flourished. Even during a time period where we had 6 weeks of 100-degree plus temperatures, even though they're south facing and they're pretty close to our stucco wall, which gets really hot after it gets hit by the sun all day. It may not look like much because it's been so hot this year, but our cucumber trellis has done really well. You can see quite a few cucumbers on here. In years past, we'll have the cucumbers grow all the way up and over this thing, but with how hot it was this summer with the 100-degree temperatures for 6 weeks straight, it didn't do so well. But we still got plenty of cucumbers this year. We never had a drawer in our refrigerator without a cucumber in it. And if you've been following our channel this year, you may have also seen our incredibly massive carrot that we picked. To be honest, we just forgot about our carrots a little bit, And I was just checking our onions one day and I noticed that there was a big head on a carrot. So I got a shovel just to check it out, and I could not believe how massive the carrot was. I can't remember ever seeing a carrot that big before. But our carrots have done so well next to our onions and our nasturtiums. We also got way better at companion planting this year. This was our year to try and test companion planting more than we had ever done it before, and we are so thrilled with the results. Because we've got a whole video dedicated to just companion planting that's coming out in the near future, we won't spend a lot of time with companion planting in this video, but in general what it entails is planting herbs, flowers, and produce together in a combination that helps them all grow and thrive better. Companion planting also utilizes your space a lot better because you're able to mix in smaller plants with bigger plants and help utilize all of your space. Some herbs and some flowers will also deter pests. So stay tuned about our video for that because we'll have a downloadable PDF all about companion planting. But the biggest success in my mind of having our garden is just the amount of time that our family spends out here. It's become my wife's favorite place to have breakfast in the morning. We typically come out here at nighttime when the sun is setting because it's so pleasant out here. And just having our kids be so excited about picking stuff from here. It's been so fun to be able to teach our kids planting practices and how to take care of things and to let them experience something that takes time for it to grow. So if you're on the fence about having your own garden and you've got a family, we highly recommend it. Now, that's not to say that every moment will be so pleasant for you. Kids are still kids and they still cause some havoc, but overall, having a garden has been such a wonderful experience for our family. Thank you so much for watching. We would love to hear about all of the successes you've experienced in your garden. Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you on the next one.